How prevalent is it? Are you having the Larry Fink situation?
Yeah, no, I have the same experience, partly because we're talking about the same universe, corporations, companies, and typically the treasurer's office is really trying to manage risk, not take on new risk.
So what does that mean? Does that mean customers aren't interested in crypto?
Well, I think that means that their business isn't. So you think about it, like, right, say a U.S. Company is buying a good from Germany or Japan or China, and they're going to trade most likely in the U.S. dollar. Why would they have crypto? It gives them a new exposure that doesn't come out of the business. And typically, corporations are trying to avoid that kind of risk. Currency risk management is a very important function for a lot of large companies, and they typically don't want to take on new risk needlessly.
So how are you looking then at crypto as an asset class? I mean, are you following the ups and downs of Bitcoin? We're at $33,000 now, but are we going to hit a new near-term low before some longer-term potential climb?
Yeah, so I do follow crypto partly because I do think that there is, as Larry Fink had said, a possibility that it is a new asset class. But what we've seen in the recent several weeks, I think, it sort of gives that what the internet calls HODL, hold on for dear life, all new meaning, going through basically giving back everything it made this year, while inflation, price pressures still seem to be rising. The one hedge it was supposed to be, because theoretically of limited supply, it was supposed to protect us from inflation, and it's not really working out so great.
Now, if you're a retail investor or an institutional investor, why invest in crypto at all at this point, given the volatility, when clearly, at least so far this year, you can get better returns elsewhere?
I think that's exactly the point. I think that's why, the crypto space, they really pride themselves on decentralized finance. But when I see the surveys of people looking at the IP addresses of the ownership, it looks to me like something like this. Crypto is born in countries in which there's great disparities of wealth and income. And I think the crypto space is picking that up as well. Highly concentrated retail hands, really large retail hands, highly concentrated still. You say that Bitcoin today is around $33,000. I think that most of the coins are owned by those who have 100 or more, which really excludes, the average American median family income in the U.S. is only about $65,000 or so. So I think that there's really not much space, except I think that there's some people who still see it as offering some kind of diversification, because it doesn't seem to be correlated with other assets right now.
Okay, now, obviously we know that China is cracking down. We're waiting for U.S. regulation. Clearly, some kind of regulation is coming. How much do you think that could further dent the momentum of this entire market? And will it completely change the market that's to come?
Yeah, so I think that the crypto space has two big challenges coming up. One, as you mentioned, is the regulation. I think, the U.S., first maybe talk about China. You say they're cracking down on crypto, but I sort of see them doing is enforcing a rule that's been on their books, so to speak, for several years. So the first thing I think is just China is putting some teeth behind their policies. Secondly, I think that the U.S., Western Europe, is not going to be so much banning crypto as some people fear to protect the monopoly, but rather regulating it, making sure that it's not being used to do some, say, undesirable activities. But I think that the other hurdle that's going to be coming, besides the regulation from America, is I think that as Larry Fink had mentioned, the possibility of a crypto or a Bitcoin issued by central banks, central bank digital currency, whether it's China, Sweden, other countries are looking at it like Estonia. I'm not sure why the U.S. needs one per se. I do see there's some clamor for one, but I'm not so sure that changes things. I think that the reason that Chinese currency is not being used that much in the world, and you see this in the SWIFT surveys every month, less than 2% is being accounted for by China. I don't think that's because of a technology gap. I don't think we're not using it to invoice trade because they don't have a digital form of it. So I think that it's not going to really change the current order of things if China is the first to come out with that digital currency, perhaps in time for next year's Olympics.
So look, and this is the million-dollar question, or maybe the $33,000 question at the moment, but if you look ahead, 5 years from now, how are we going to look back on this time?
I think that the excitement around crypto, at its peak, it was about $2 trillion, the market capitalization. I think this is a symptom of the times, just like sports gambling is, just like having lotteries in America to fund schools. These are parts, I think, of like sort of the excesses of our society right now. It seems, we have $13.5 trillion of negative yielding bonds in the world. I think that just is like reeking of excess savings, excess capital searching for a home.
So does that mean you think the crypto market is going to collapse in some way?
I don't know about collapse. I am watching this, like, say, 27,000, 30,000 in the Bitcoin. It's a very important, like, technical point. And technicals seem to be important because there's no intrinsic value. There's no use value, really, except finding someone who can buy it from you at a higher price. So I think psychology plays a big role. So I look at technical analysis for it. And I just think that if we go through that 27 to 30,000 level on Bitcoin, a lot of people who have been holding on will have second thoughts. But I'm not sure if it's going to be a growing asset market. Sure, it might stick around. It doesn't cost a lot of money to float one of these currencies, even if some of them are launched as jokes. But so I just don't think they'll be capturing our imaginations going forward.